Alright, can I start now? Okay. Okay. What's up, YouTube? And today I want to introduce myself. My name is Silas, and this channel will be kind of a podcast lecture style channel where I am simply here to share what I've learned and what I believe. Simple as that. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Getting straight to the point. That's what this is for. The subject is metaphysics and esoterica. What does that mean? It means we're studying the not physical, we're studying the spiritual, we're studying, and as far as esoterica, we're studying things that are rarely studied, rarely touched upon, rarely talked about. Now, at the same time, you may be asking yourself, well, what is this video game that's on the screen, why is that happening? Well, that is happening because I do not want to do talking head videos where you're just staring at me in my junky ass bedroom talking metaphysics for hours. There will be gameplay while this is happening. This is live gameplay, so you may also hear me commenting on it or being interrupted by certain things that are happening in the game. This is all dynamic. I kinda like it to just be raw. I don't like having to constantly do retakes and scripts, and so this is how this channel is gonna run. You'll see gameplay going on in the background. And today we're playing some Warframe. I'm just trying to level up this frame real quick, so it's kind of perfect for me to start with. I can kind of just pull up any mission that I'm comfortable with and get to work, while also not being interrupted too much by what's going on in the game. Now, I want to start by, we won't focus so much on the game. I think in future episodes I'll talk more about what's happening, what I'm doing in the game and what's going on, but on this first episode I kind of want to keep it focused because we got a lot to talk about in a short amount of time. So, what I want the main focus of this channel to be on is metaphysics, although we'll get into plenty of other stuff, I'm sure, like, excuse me guys, I have a cold, we'll talk about that at some point. Like, we'll get into things like neuroscience and social issues and psychology, but for now, let's just focus down on metaphysics and what that is. Now, literally broken down, the word metaphysics means beyond physical, so anything that is above the physical. So spirits, anything you can't touch, taste, see, hear, or smell. Like reality, anything that is not tangible, that you can't necessarily define so easily. So of course it's hard to talk about these kinds of things because everybody interprets them in a different way. So this is my interpretation of everything that I have learned. If it doesn't line up with what you believe or it doesn't line up with your interpretation, I encourage you still to listen, because by listening to others' points of view, you may unlock something new in your own point of view. So you may not agree with everything, but there might be something that sticks out to you, like, wow, I never thought of that before, and it does fit into my line of thinking, but I don't agree with X, Y, Z. Well, you can still take the A, B, and C and do something with that. So I don't want what I say here to be the be-all, end-all either. My whole intention here is to get you thinking and to get you to do your own research. So especially if I say something you don't recognize, if I say it and I don't have time to define it, or I say I'm just going over this briefly, but there really needs to be a lot more said about it, then make sure you're looking that stuff up, because like, your own research is what's really going to help you. And I think having someone to guide you in that research is very helpful. But if someone is completely taken over to the point where you're not actively doing the learning, it's someone else teaching you and you're not learning anything on your own, I believe that's negative and that's not actually helpful. So, with metaphysics meaning above the spiritual, because we're humans, we like to think in a linear fashion. Timeline, from left to right, beginning to the end. Everything that is now must have a beginning somewhere. That's why we don't like the question, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? We don't like that question. I don't know. Because if there was a chicken, that means that chicken had to come out of an egg. But if there was no egg, if there's an egg, then there's already a chicken. So, yeah, people don't like that question. The ego doesn't know what to do with that information. Now, the soul knows what to do with it, but that's subconscious, so we're not allowed to hear that. So, anyway, you'll notice that I said that because you'll notice that often, especially because I'm playing the game as I'm doing it, these talks will be cyclical. They're circular. They go around subjects and they go around the different topics that all revolve around one central theme. They do not go from beginning, middle to end. My speech, it just doesn't come out that way. But if you're willing to stick with it, you will see that it is all connected and it all is interlinked and helps to get the bigger picture. So I want to start with the origin story, because as it does help to have some kind of basis of a beginning, even if that is not the beginning, it's the beginning as we would understand it as humans. So before we manifested in human bodies, so in human bodies, we are a collection of two types of energy, male and female. Even a man has female energy, they have estrogen, and even a female has male energy, they have testosterone. Now, so before we incorporated ourselves into a human body, we were these two energy forces. Now what happened is that in that state, they are entities. They entitle whatever their title is, that is them 100%. And what they were titled was love, in simple terms, was love and hate. Now the female, you will find many names for her. Eve is one of them out of the Bible. But you have Eve, Sophia. I've heard many different names for her. But the male, you'll never hear named anywhere. He's just the male force, masculine force. There's never a name for him. The divine masculine, they don't know what to call him. Because we don't know him. There's a reason for that. So what happened here is these two entities, one made up completely of love, and the other made up completely of hate, were meant to join together. We don't know why, we just know that they were supposed to. And they began this process. They touched one another. Now before we get into what happens next, I want to stop here and bring up numerology. A lot of you may have heard of it, especially if you like check your horoscopes or do anything like that. Or you get like a fortune cookie that has like your lucky numbers. That's basic, mundane numerology. But hold on. Let's pause for a second. I just started using this Warframe, so she's got some abilities I don't know. I think War Cry. Let's hunt around him, cry the boosters and allies. Melee speed while slowing down nearby enemies. Okay. And Perilous' Valkyrie unleashes her shields, stunning and damaging enemies around her. Okay, so crowd control. Alright. Wait, what's her passive? Faster recovery from being knocked down. Okay. Okay, let's talk numerology. So, what numerology basically is the science of numbers having symbolic meaning. And this is a very real science. It is not, spookism, or it's not like, woo-woo, fortune teller, crystal ball nonsense. It's real. And it plays a part. It really does affect you. Like your birthday and the time all together have a numeric symbolism that can tell you things about your life and what you're supposed to have been doing, and will tell you about things you've already done. I think it's really interesting, that is. But that was just like a basic rundown of what numerology is. So now back to why that's important in context. Now, independently, they both represented a numerical value, and that would be 5. So when you add 5 and 5, you get 10. Now, here's why that's important. In the symbology of the number 10, you have 1 plus 0, which still equals 1, because 0 is nothing. In numerology, you want to break down each piece and determine what it means. And in this case, you have 1 plus 0, which is just 1. It should just be 1. But see, the 0 represents the all nothing. Like everything and nothing. Because it's everything. It's a circle, 360 degrees. It goes all the way around. But there's nothing inside of it. It is hollow. It's a circle. So it's everything and nothing. So 1 plus 0, while numerically it still equals 1, because it's 1 and 0, it's representing the 5 individual pieces of one and the 5 individual pieces of another coming together in such a way, and being in such harmony that you cannot tell the pieces apart from one another. They have become one piece. So the all has become one. That is what 10 represents. That's where the phrase all for one and one for all comes from. Because if everyone is together, then doing something for one does something for everyone. But if we're disconnected, doing something for you doesn't help me. You see? Now, they came together and were beginning to form 10. But love, now imagine this. You're love. And put yourself, try a little empathy on. If you're love, and only love, that means you have no pride. Because pride is a hateful emotion. Pride comes out of, chaos. It's a proud thing. It's not a humble thing. Love is humble. So, you don't have pride. You don't necessarily have drive. You're soft. You're comforting. You know how to nurture. You know how to take care. You don't know how to go get and provide and, fight. Kill and defend. Those things you need hate for. You need to have anger in order to do harm to anything. But if you're made of complete love, you can't do that. So, as these two try to come together, they don't match. They're complete opposites. In real life, this is shown when a man and a woman get together and their personalities come out and they start to argue because they can't agree. So in the spiritual version, this is what's happening. And basically, she broke away from him. They broke up. She broke away from him, and her 5 pieces became 5 pieces again. Now, because she has started to merge with him, one of these pieces was now corrupted, so to say. It had been touched by hate, and so she had felt what it's like when she started to feel it for herself, and she didn't like it. So she pulls away, taking this piece with her. She says she can't take it. It's too much. She's losing herself in hate, so she pulled away. But when she pulled away, she took that piece that has now the knowledge, the essence of what it is to hate. So she took this piece and she, for lack of a better word, animated it. She gave it consciousness. Now, as soon as she broke away, she fell. Together they're the numerical value 10. So as soon as she pulls away from him, she falls back down to 5. So from this 5, she takes that one piece and she gives it consciousness. As soon as she does this, because that part of her is now split away from her, she considers it different. It's the other, it's them. Now we have the first concept of us versus them. As soon as that happened, she fell to the value of 4. Like in each step that falls down, you get closer to human consciousness. So she fell down to 4 and created this being and animated him, which is her own piece of her that has been touched by chaos. So it is prideful, it is ignorant, it is chaotic, all of these things. And I'm guessing her intention was, let me observe it. I want to see what it does. Let me look at this thing. Let me back up and look at this thing. I feel like that's what she was trying to do. Because what she did was animated it, gave it a being, placed it in this universe, this one that we're in, and let it believe that it was the only thing in existence. This being is called Al-Duba. Al-Duba. And that means the blind god. Now, he's called that because he is ignorant. He believes he's the only thing in existence. So he thinks he's a god. And because God means potential. That's what it really means. And currently, he is the only thing in existence. He is the only potential. So he believes himself to be God. That statement makes sense only after translating it that way. Beforehand, it is incorrect to just say that. Okay, so saying that, she gives him free reign. And this is actually where, for all of you Christians, or former Christians, this is where the Bible picks up in Genesis. Because Alduba, the God in the Bible, is Alduba. That's him. He looked upon the waters. That's Alduba looking upon the waters, thinking he is the only thing in existence. So, and we know what happens from here. He creates the earth and shapes it and all that good stuff, and let there be light and night and day and all of that good stuff, which all of that has a very symbolic meaning. It is not a literal meaning, especially because the sun itself is where Algebra came from, because that is the source symbolically, and the source is the two united. So again, that doesn't make any sense in a timeline sense, because if they're not united and they broke apart for him to do all of this, how could the sun exist if the sun is the source? You're thinking linearly, you need to think in circles. This has already happened and is happening at the same time, which makes no sense. But that is the way this goes. So, at this point, Algebra is creating humans. So he creates the humans, but he cannot animate them. Like, he can't bring them to life. He's created them, but he can't breathe the breath of life into them because he doesn't have it. It is at this point that he starts to experience what we would call suffering. He suffers because he realizes he can't be all powerful, or he would be able to give these things life. And at this point, his mother, his creator, Sophia Love, realizes, oops, I may have made a mistake. So she calls to him and tells him, no, you're not the only thing in existence. I'm above you. I made you. And there are things even above me, referring to the divine masculine. So this causes him to be extremely anguished. But she says to him, do not worry, I will help you. I will help you give life to your creation. So she calls out to the divine masculine, who has the 10. She calls out to him and asks for him to blow his divine essence down. That divine essence can give life. So he does so. He blows it down through her, because he blows it to her and she gives it to Algebra. So it falls down from 10 to her. So it falls 5, then falls 1 more, and then it's to Algebra. So they have life now. They do not have everlasting life because they don't have 10. They're not eternal. They're eternal. They're immortal because they come from 2 immortal beings, period. But they are like demigods at this point. Like, it's half of the power that should have been there. A little less than half, actually. So, she gives him this. She passes it down through him, and he blows this into Adam and Eve. Whatever you want to call them. They have many different names. But the name doesn't matter. The symbology is what's important. So, he blows it down into them, and then you have the beginning of humanity. So there you go. Now, what the purpose of this was to... I'm sorry, I had to switch weapons. That was finally done. Now, the purpose of this is very simple. Even though, as far as... In my humble opinion... It honestly looks like she never intended for all of this to happen, and that, she knew, but she didn't know. Anyway, maybe I'm giving it way too much thought, and I'm putting, conscious thought into something that wouldn't have it, but I don't think so. Something just tells me, at no point did she actually think that all of this would actually end up happening. But anyway, I think her purpose in doing this, and letting this happen, because what happened by the male blowing his essence down is that you now have a human being that is made up out of 4 parts of love. I'm sorry, 4 parts of love and 3 parts of hate, creating the number 7. That's where the importance of that number comes from. Now, your whole purpose on this earth through many different lifetimes is to balance out the two energies, to make them equal, no matter whether you're a man or a woman, to make them both equal. That's the law of Ma'at, balance in all things. So not necessarily hateful, but not so lovey-dovey you can't do anything else. Not selfish, but not so selfless that you can't take care of yourself or you don't care about yourself. Balance, equal, male and feminine, encapsulate both things. That's the whole purpose. Because that was what was supposed to happen originally. And she couldn't make it happen there. So she had to pull away from him and simulate it. This is a simulation because she's trying to conjecture out in her own. This is Sophia. This is love arguing with itself about whether love can also hate and still be love. That is the question she's trying to ask. She's like, can I still be love if I also do these things? Can you do that? It's like it's basically the question of morality. Can you be wrong and right at the same time? And actually make that balance to where it's justified. For most people, the answer is no. And that's why we still are here trying to figure this out. Because we just haven't got it yet. For some reason, it's just too difficult to do both. People want to be one way. They feel like you're phony or switching sides if you act two different ways. People expect you to be the same today, yesterday, and tomorrow. They love that. When really, being in a state where you can't change is often called stagnation or death. To the spirit, being unable to change, you might as well be dead. To the body, to the brain, it doesn't want to change. It doesn't like that. I'm trying to get rid of this toxin because, oh my god. Yeah, things are getting a little crazy here. Okay, anyway. With all that being said, that's the origin story in a nutshell. Now, there's one other part of this that I want to touch on, and this is a personal theory. When I say personal theory, all of this is conjecture. Like, all of this is somebody's theory. But basically, this is something I haven't heard anywhere, just out of my own mind came this. I feel that we have been, and there's a lot of people, there's a lot of ways that this theory is like corroborated. We've been hearing our whole lives how Mars has had water on it in the past, and the most recent report says that they found actual ice under the ground. Well, no duh. Obviously, at some point there was life there. At some point. And now there is not. I mean, there was water, and now we thought there wasn't any anymore, but there is, just so far under the surface and frozen that something catastrophic had to have happened there. So obviously, I'm saying that I believe that we were once on Mars, and not just Mars. We were once everywhere, on each one of the planets leading up to where we are now on Earth. What has happened is that each one of those is a step in consciousness, and every time we grow, we go forward a planet, I believe. Unfortunately, the way that we go forward is through Armageddon. So, like, we have a nuclear holocaust, or I don't know, something happens catastrophic to the world, and humanity is wiped out. But only to begin again on the next planet, which is then terraformed because years and years have passed. And we just keep repeating this. heading closer and closer to the sun or the source. You want out, Allie? You want out? Alright. Okay. Okay. Alright. Okay. My cat wanted out. Alright. So I believe, as I said, I believe that we basically are moving through planet to planet as we go through this process. So what Earth is the third planet from the sun? Yes, the third planet from the sun. Alright. So we're really close. Cool. That's good. That's great. That's awesome. And as we get closer, things get more and more chaotic. Every time you go through, the stakes get higher. The energies get harder. We forget more about our past. We lose touch with the spirit. The spirit inside of you is your connection to love, basically. This is why the world is becoming so hateful now. It's such a hard place to live in because people are becoming disconnected with their soul. And their soul is the reminder to love. But the whole point of this experiment, remember, is to mix the two. So by doing this, by going more towards hate, it's allowing more, more information to be gained. It's allowing the ones who are balancing to undergo even more struggle. So it's like, excuse me. So it's like, okay, it's easy for you to love when you have enough to provide. It's a lot. People are a lot friendlier when they aren't going through a lot of struggle. But make somebody uncomfortable. Make them struggle and see if they don't change up on you. And it's harder to get them to smile. It's harder to get them to joke and laugh. It's harder to get them to play. They don't say I love you. They don't communicate their feelings as much. Just because the pressure is now harder, making them lean towards hate more than towards love. And the whole challenge is, can you go through all of this? Can you deal with all of your pain? Can you deal with all of your trauma? Can you deal with all of your shit? And then turn around and still love yourself and others around you who are bringing their shit to you as well. And if you ask 99% of people to do that, they'll tell you you're crazy. Why do I gotta take their shit? Why do I gotta do this? Why do I gotta? I'm dealing with this. I'm dealing with that. I got stress on my plate. Everybody starts to look out for themselves, losing the connection, losing that zero, the all or nothing. Not all or nothing. Excuse me. See, look at that. The all and nothing. Now it's become all or nothing. Either you down or you not. Either you're selfish or you're not, or you're generous. You can't be both. Either you're good or you're bad. You're nice or you're mean. So if I'm nice to you today and mean to you tomorrow, that is confusing to people. It's upsetting. You flip floppy. You flaky. So our whole challenge here is trying to figure out how to balance those two things, and I think that is a perfect foundation for everything else. And I think I'm gonna stop it here, and that'll do for introduction. What I want to go into next is the chakra systems. I want to go into each chakra in depth specifically because that makes up the energies in you, and the chakra system kind of supports the flow of that energy through you. So it's very important to know about those and what they do and what they affect. It can help you figure out where your issues are and what to start with. So I think we'll start there. Anyway, if you actually made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching. The best way to probably consume this if you don't care about the gameplay is to watch this in like a podcast format. So if you have YouTube Red, I really recommend turning the screen off and like putting on some headphones, watching in the background while you do other things. That's really the way that I like to watch my lectures and stuff on YouTube. So that'll probably be a good way to consume this. But I want to make sure that there is something on screen for those of you who either don't have YouTube Red or just do want something to look at, like this is the main thing you're doing. But generally, in these longer videos, you want to provide some kind of, you know, other option to consume them. So the podcast format is a very good way as well. And if you just want to hear it that way, I will be posting this as a podcast as well, and I will put the links for that in the description so that you can get to that if you wanted to see this as a podcast. But anyway, thank you guys for watching and bearing with me. Sorry about any of my voice or any coughing, hacking, sniffling, the outside noise, the scanner, all of that stuff is outside of my control, and we just kind of have to bear with that right now until I get a better recording space. But I just really wanted to do this, and I didn't want to let anything hold me back, even background noises. So you will hear my life and my family doing things outside, and that's how we're doing it right now. I mean, my microphone audio quality is pretty good. I have a good mic, and that makes it even worse because now I can hear everything in the house, and so can you. But that's just how we're working on things right now. Be sure to check out the podcast if you want in that format. Drop a like and subscribe if you want to hear more. We're gonna go into the chakra system here soon, and appreciate you guys for listening.